Welcome to this explainer. Right now, we are tracking an urgent weather situation brewing in the Gulf of Mexico. But more importantly, we're going to equip you with the life-saving preparedness steps you actually need to know. Whether you live right on the coastline or, hundreds of miles inland, figuring out how to navigate severe weather is an absolute necessity. So today, we're taking all that raw meteorological data and those crucial Red Cross guidelines, and we're transforming them into a clear roadmap to keep you and your family safe. Let's get right into it. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with a storm in the Gulf, move on to decoding the alerts, look at before the storm hits, surviving during the storm, and finally, staying safe afterward. Section 1. A storm in the Gulf, the immediate threat. Right now, there's a system developing in the northeastern Gulf that demands our immediate attention. It's honestly a perfect real-time example of why we have to be prepared long before the skies actually turn dark. 30 miles per hour. That's the current sustained wind speed of this tropical depression. It is just shy of that 39 mile per hour threshold it needs to officially become Tropical Storm Bertha. Air Force hurricane hunters have actually been out there actively investigating the system to figure out its structure. But as you're going to see, the name and the wind speed, that's really only a tiny part of the story here. The crucial takeaway is that regardless of its ultimate strength or whether it even gets a name, this slow-moving system brings some serious hazards with it. Right now, it's sitting about 100 to 150 miles south of Panama City, Florida, and it's drifting at a really sluggish 3 knots. And because it's crawling like that, it threatens to act as a massive rainmaker. We're looking at 1 to 3 inches of heavy rain and severe flash flooding risks for the Florida Panhandle and the wider Gulf Coast through Thursday. Plus, it's churning up dangerous 5 to 8 foot seas and intense rip currents. The water, not just the wind, is the real danger here. Section 2. Decoding the alerts. Understanding NOAA terminology. With the Tropical Storm Watch already in effect for the Florida Panhandle, and folks from Alabama all the way to Texas keeping a close eye on this, we really need to nail down exactly what these official NOAA alerts mean. Because confusion here, it can literally cost lives. Okay, so a watch. This means there is a possibility of dangerous conditions, and it's generally issued about 48 hours in advance. It simply means be prepared, stay alert. A warning, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. It means hazardous conditions are expected within 36 hours. If a warning drops for your area, your preparations need to be rushed to completion, and you have to take action immediately, which absolutely includes evacuating if local officials tell you to do so. You've probably seen this graphic on the news a million times, the track forecast cone, or as it's often called, the cone of uncertainty. It shows where the storm center will remain about 60 to 70% of the time. But listen, here is a critical reminder. Even if you live way outside that white cone, you are not necessarily safe. The impacts of a tropical cyclone can stretch hundreds of miles. Areas well outside the cone constantly get hit with severe hazards, like sudden tornadoes or massive inland flooding from all that rain. So please, never let your guard down just because you aren't in the direct center of the projected path. Section 3. Before the storm hits. Actionable preparedness. Preparation is absolutely the ultimate key to weathering any storm safely. The American Red Cross strongly advises organizing your supplies into 2 distinct kits before a storm ever reaches your doorstep. The first one is your Go Kit. If local authorities order an evacuation, you have to leave immediately, and you literally just grab this kit and go. It needs to hold at least 3 days of highly portable supplies. And crucially, especially in our digital age, it has to include backup batteries and chargers for your cell phones and any medical equipment. You'll also want a small, easy-to-grab card listing your specific medications and dosages, along with secure copies of your personal, financial, and medical records. Now, conversely, if you're sheltering in place and riding out the storm at home, your stay-at-home kit needs a much, much larger stockpile. We're talking at least 2 weeks of food and water. You should also have a full 1-month supply of your medications, ideally in a child-proof container. You really have to be mentally and physically prepared to live without power, gas, or running water for an extended stretch. And don't forget a battery-powered radio. When the cell towers inevitably go down, that radio becomes your absolute lifeline for local news and emergency updates. Beyond just gathering supplies, protecting your actual physical home from wind and flood damage means systematically following some key steps well before the first drop of rain even falls. High winds can turn ordinary stuff, like lawn furniture or trash cans, into literal projectiles, so secure them or bring them inside. You also need to clean out your drains, gutters, and downspouts so water can flow freely away from your foundation. And it's incredibly smart to stockpile sandbags and plastic sheeting to guard against any rising waters. Section 4. Surviving during the storm. Crucial safety rules. When the storm is actively raging overhead, your prep time is officially over. Your actions now have to be decisive, calm, and focused entirely on immediate survival. If you didn't evacuate, you have to hunker down in the safest part of your building. We're talking about an interior room on the lowest level with absolutely no windows, like a designated storm shelter, an interior bathroom, or a closet. But here's a vital piece of context from the Red Cross. The most common cause of death during a hurricane is actually drowning. So yes, you want to be on the lowest level for wind protection, but you have to be completely ready to move to higher ground immediately if floodwaters start entering your home. Turn around. Don't drown. This iconic National Weather Service mantra is absolutely non-negotiable. Never, ever walk, swim, or drive through floodwaters under any circumstances. It's crazy, but it only takes a few inches of fast-moving water to knock a grown adult right off their feet, and just a foot or two of water can completely sweep away most vehicles. Plus, you have no way of knowing if the road beneath that water has been completely washed away. It is just not worth the risk.
Section 5. Staying safe afterward. Hidden hazards.
So the winds might have died down and the rain stopped, but the passing of the storm does not mean the danger is over. In fact, the aftermath brings entirely new, often hidden threats, so you've got to remain incredibly vigilant. If you evacuated, wait for official clearance before returning home. Once you are back, treat every damaged or fallen power line as if it's live and deadly. Never touch or let your kids or pets play in leftover floodwaters. That stuff is highly toxic and filled with raw sewage and dangerous bacteria. And if the power is still out, please use flashlights instead of candles to reduce your fire risk. Emergency services are already stretched way too thin. Now, this is quite possibly the most critical warning of the entire aftermath phase: carbon monoxide. It's an invisible, odorless killer that tragically claims lives after nearly every major storm. If the power is out, improper use of a portable generator, a camp stove, or a charcoal grill can quickly fill your home with this lethal gas. You can't see it, you can't smell it. Never use gas or charcoal devices inside a home, in a garage, in a tent, or even outside near an open window. If you ever start to feel sick, dizzy, or weak, you need to get to fresh air immediately. When it's finally time to clean up, remember this golden rule: when in doubt, throw it out. Toss out any food that got wet or warm due to power outages. Make sure you're wearing protective gear, like heavy-duty gloves, goggles, and boots, while you're moving debris. And please keep this staggering statistic from the Red Cross in mind. Heart attacks are actually a leading cause of death following a hurricane. The stress, combined with the extreme physical exertion of moving heavy, waterlogged debris, takes a massive toll on your body. Take frequent breaks, pace yourself, work with a partner, and avoid overworking.
So is your Go Kit ready right now? Because as systems like tropical depression 2 become an increasingly common reality, preparedness can't be a last-minute scramble anymore. It really has to become a permanent mindset. Your Go Kit might save your life today, but how are you adapting your long-term plans for a world where these extreme weather events are just the new normal? Take action today. Prepare those kits. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and please stay safe out there.